this movie, I think what maybe what I found the funniest thing towards the end, or at the end, was this is the pinnacle, I think, of white privilege, right? What do I mean by that?
Another
Ladies and
one.
gentlemen, we have another press play for you, just as always, week in and week out. This week we are press playing on the movie Hunter x Hunter, which was directed by Sean Linden, as well as written by Linden as well. So before we jump into anything else, as always, we want to jump into what we found relatable about this particular movie, what we could kind of grasp onto personally. So hit me with it. What you find relatable about the movie?
Yeah, to be 100% honest, what did I find relatable about this movie? Nothing at all. And when I say that, it sounds bad, but it's really not, right? Like the point of, being whether you're a film lover, movie lover, you love TV shows, whatever you love, is to challenge yourself to like step out of your comfort zone and like watch that movie that that's maybe like not your style of film, and maybe see if you'll find an appreciation for it regardless. When I was like watching the trailer for this movie, when I read the synopsis of this movie, I didn't particularly find it again relatable, but I did find it interesting. This family who lives out in the woods, who's chosen this path to live off of the land, to be like hunters and gatherers, and they discover along the way that there are obstacles in front of them, right? Whether it's the elements that they live in, the animals that live in the woods alongside of them, or maybe they're just not the only people out there in those woods, right? That is the story here I found really interesting. So to me, it wasn't about whether or not I could relate to the movie. I just knew that there was a great story here to be told.
Yeah. So the thing I found most interesting about the film, or I guess maybe the most relatable about the film, is that this idea of the way of life, your way of life, kind of being challenged, so to speak, or you having to adapt to like the new realities of life. Here you have this family who's they're out in the middle of fucking nowhere, and everybody who hears that they're living out there is like, what the fuck? What are you doing all the way out there? There's nothing there, and their life is like really fucking hard. They're not rich or anything like that, and I don't think that's like the whole point of their life. It's not to like, I don't think it's for money or anything like that. It's just to, I think this plot of land has been in their family for generations, I guess, and they just want to keep living, and so I found that aspect of it really like relatable in terms of I think when I think back to my own life and kind of like how I grew up, the way that we grew up was very meek, very, very, we weren't rich, by any stretch of imagination. We were definitely pretty poor. And everything that we sort of did was, it was measured, it was, we had to make concessions. We had to decide, the whole scene where she's at the store and the dude's basically is like, yeah, like this meat that you're giving me isn't worth as much as, or whatever she was given. I forget exactly what the fuck she was trying to trade with the store owner, or the clerk at the store. But that whole idea of like, oh fuck, like, shit, how much am I short? How much are you saying I'm short by? Fuck, you sure you can't just hook me up real quick? Like that whole aspect of it, I think I found like really relatable. But with that being said, we can kind of just jump into what we thought of the plot, as you were talking about before, what you found the plot most interesting out of everything of the film. So what did you think about the plot for Hunter x Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, so, again, we went over the story of this, right? This family that they've chosen this path to live out in the woods, live remotely, live off the land, out in the elements. One of the themes that I pull from this is both, decision making, right? Like you reap what you sow. This family has chosen this path, right? And when you choose a path, and this is in all facets of life, whether it be a professional career, whether educational career, relationship, whatever it may be, you're going to have to deal with the challenges and the struggles that come along along that path that you've chosen. Some paths are easier than others. This family did not choose the easy path. The easy path would be to, like, just live in like a regular residential neighborhood, and your kids are safe. You don't really have to, or safe enough. You don't have to worry about wolves and bears, and you don't have to hunt for your own food. You can go to Whole Foods or Walgreens or whatever. They've chosen a different path, and they have welcomed this struggle, right? And along that path, like, you're going to run into things that you didn't expect. And unfortunately, this family ran into a lot that they didn't expect. And sometimes you're going to lose, right? Did they expect to lose in this way, as in like the loss of, the mom had to go through the loss of her husband and her daughter? No. But like, you never know what's coming around the corner. The only thing you could do is choose a path, stick to it, plan for the worst, hope for the best.
Yeah. So I think this movie, the plot was it was a little mixed for me, because it kind of had all the promise of like this like thriller of like, oh shit, like what's the actual thing going on here? I'm not quite sure the payoff was as it was worth it in the end. Obviously everybody's talking about the ending, and in which you basically see a dude like in when you see those street vendors and they're like, slicing up the meat and doing all that stuff. That's essentially what the fuck happened to him, right? he got chopped up, but I don't think that was worth the buildup for it. The buildup was fucking fantastic, but for that to be the conclusion, I don't know. It just didn't really like sum up to anything for me. Like, you're watching the movie and you're thinking, okay, like clearly like this family is being stalked by something that they're they don't know what it is, right? At first, I think it's a wolf. Then the husband, Joe, I believe his name is, he finds, all of these women tied up in the woods who are dead. And he's like, whoa, what the fuck is going on here? Now, why he didn't tell his wife that, or I guess maybe you don't want to like panic people, but also that seems like a pretty fucking huge thing to find and just not tell somebody that, hey, I found all of these dead bodies in the wood. And by the way, whatever did this is on the loose and, could possibly pop up on our front doorstep. That seems like the kind of thing I want to tell somebody, but, far be it from me to give him any sort of critiques. But ultimately, I think that the movie had great anticipation or a great buildup where you're unsure of what direction it's going in from Joe being lost out in the woods, or not lost, I guess, but missing out in the woods, and his wife in this case, Anne, having to like figure out like what's the next to their daughter, right? Who Renee in the movie. She's really just like this really smart kid who's becoming a hunter herself, and you're really unsure of where all of that, where that whole dynamic is going, as well as when Anne goes into town, I guess what fucking counts as town for them, and talks to like I don't know if he's a sheriff or just like the park preservation I don't know who the fuck the person ultimately was, but even that whole storyline of him of like I guess the cop guy being caught in the traps and shit, and it's just like, well, what was the fucking purpose of all that at the end of the day, right? That you have Anne who's trying to like figure out what's going on with Joe. He's missing, and then ultimately he just ends up just dead. And Renee, who's this really smart kid, just ends up just getting killed. And one of the reasons why I thought the movie was called Hunter x Hunter was because I thought we were going to see some like fucking like two fucking fantastic hunters like kind of going at it with one another, or something to that tune, and we didn't really like get that. You just got a dude who had some fucking headphones and clearly liked to rape women. Was essentially all we got, and which was kind of like, all right. I don't know.
Do you remember that movie with Benicio del Toro where he was like, I think it was Benicio del Toro and not Harrison Ford, but not Mel Gibson. I think it was called Hunter, actually.
Mhm.
Or the not the Wolfman. No, it was a movie where it was a movie essentially like this, where like there's two hunters out in the woods and they're kind of like hunting each other.
Yeah.
I think that, like that's kind of what I was hoping for or expecting too, which is I think what you just mentioned there. We didn't get that. The title to me still makes sense, but it is kind of like misleading in a way.
Yeah, because I read it as hunter hunter, meaning that like you have a hunter who hunts other hunters, which is essentially sort of what I thought we would get, but that's ultimately not necessarily what we got. We just got somebody who just like to do crazy shit to women. And and then you don't really even see like him and Joe mix it up, of like, because Joe like loves to like set these traps and he's a good tracker and he's doing all this shit. But you never really see them sort of like battling, wits of, what method is going to work best, or who's a better hunter, in that case. You never really get to see that, which I found that really sort of like disappointing, considering the buildup for that's how we basically start the movie is Joe teaching Renee how to like do all these traps and, how to basically be a hunter. And ultimately that's kind of wasted because, we never really use that for anything, that capital that we built up there.
And just to tie up a little bow here, so the movie that I was talking about was like the 2003 movie called The Hunted, which starred Tommy Lee Jones, Benicio del Toro, and here's the thread here. So the actress who plays Anne, her name is Connie Nielsen. Mm-hmm. She's also in this movie.
Oh wow, weird, cool.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
So I guess she likes these outdoorsy guys. That's her type.
Yeah. When did that movie come
out? 2003. Again, it's Tommy Lee Jones, Benicio del Toro, and Annie Nielsen, who plays Anne in the film that we're talking about here, Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah. So anyways, so I think that's what we think about the plot of the movie. I thought, again, like the ending was shocking. And I'm also going to bring this up later in a different segment when we talk about Hallie Lauder. I don't even know how to fucking say her name, but this movie, I think what I found the funniest thing towards the end or at the end was this is the pinnacle, I think, of white privilege, right? What do I mean by that? And I'm sure just a whole bunch of people clicked off like, I don't want to hear about that. But if what I mean by that is this movie tries, I think, really hard to like mimic like reality, right? In terms of you're seeing people hunting out in the woods and they're doing all these like realistic things. Like, okay, here's what you would do if you're trying to hunt this, and then here's what somebody's doing if they're like really skilled at what they're like. It's just trying to really depict like actual like life, right? They spend a lot of time doing that. And then at the end, you have you have one of two things, either a true depiction of real life, or you have something that's just like completely it makes no fucking sense. You have this woman who just filleted this dude, right? She just skinned this dude alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the cops show up. They see her, that she throws his face at them and just walks
and
out.
They don't gun her down. Yeah,
they don't do anything.
She goes and sits on her front.
She just.
I thought she was going to go bake breakfast.
Yo, like I've like in my mind, I was like, what the fuck? Because I thought for sure they're going to like kill her, and it's like, oh fuck, like they killed like the hero of the story because she just skinning this dude, and they just didn't do anything. She just walks out and it's fine.
Dude,
it's like,
I swear to God, I thought they were going to let her go take a shower and like clean up. And then they were going to say, hey, you come down to the station and turn yourself in whenever you're ready.
It's okay. Hey, you don't even have to do it today. Just, whenever you get to it this week, just come through and
take your time. All lives matter.
So I just found that whole part like comical, and so it's either a true depiction of life, meaning that like, you know what, that's basically what would happen, if a white woman skinned a dude alive, is they just like, no, that's fine, it's cool, it's fine, we're not going to do anything to you, or it's just completely like, for as much as they try to stick to like reality and shit, they certainly kind of like veered from that towards the end. And obviously she skinned the dude alive, so how much reality is actually there in terms of if the dude's not just going to fucking die of going into shock or anything else.
Yeah. But in real life, those cops would either shot her the shit up or like somebody put one in her leg at least. We don't know how dangerous she is.
You would think. But like, let's move on to our characters, just like we do every week. Who's our runner-up? Who's our MVP? Let's just jump right into it. The casting by credit for this, by the way, is Jim Heber, I believe. So yeah, who do you got for your?
So my runner-up, I got to go with the actor John Stahl. Mm-hmm. Who plays so John? Yeah, I think I'm saying his last name right. John Stahl, Nick Stahl, who plays Lou, mm-hmm. who is the in the beginning he seems to be this man who either got caught in a bear trap or got attacked and he's wounded. He needs help, and he really sold it to me too in the beginning. I thought he maybe had escaped whoever was out in the woods attacking, or who attacked those women out in the woods, right? Or maybe he was attacked by like an animal caught in a bear trap. I thought he was like a victim. He sold that really well. He seemed like a decent guy, which is why Anne eventually ended up leaving her daughter, Renee, at the house with him when she went to go like check on some shit, which I, as a parent, stupid, very stupid. But anyway, so I thought he did a great job at like selling his character and like masking his intent, which is difficult to do. And like, you're not seeing many people here, and to sell me who I think you are in the beginning, and then to make that switch, and then for that switch to be believable, that's like a quality of really good acting. And I just think Nick Stahl is a pretty good actor. My other runner up here, I got to give it to the wolf. That wolf, when Andy and Renee were down at the lake. And if you guys don't remember that wolf, that's a dire wolf from Game of Thrones. So when
was that Ghost?
I think it might be actually. So when fucking who's the, not Cersei, what's her name? When Daenerys burned down King's Landing, that wolf was up in Winterfell. Wolf was like, "Yo, you know what? I'm done. I'm out. Let me go see what's going on up in Massachusetts." And he set up shop out there, and now he's got people. He's like, "Yo, what the fuck are y'all doing on my block?" He let him live. Because he's like, "You know what? I'm not for the war, but y'all need to know I'm out this bitch." But he let him live. So I respect that wolf. He really sold his character, being that he is a wolf. I wish I had another runner-up, but I don't. So, and not to say that like the other actors and actresses in this movie were great or didn't do their part. Everybody else just didn't really get much screen time. Joe, who plays the father in this movie, again, not much screen time. He was either remote or dead. The two cops, Lucy and Berthus, or the conservationist police or people or whatever, they were good, but again, not enough screen time for me to give them like honorable mentions for like how good their characters role. They played their roles well. They did the jobs that they were supposed to do, but yeah, I mean, other than that, I got to give my MVP to Camille Sullivan, who played Anne. I think she did a lot of things here. She had like really good emotional range in this movie. When I remember the times when she thought the wolf was chasing her, she was running in the woods, and like she really sold, or she really portrayed that emotion of like this like heightened sense of fear and survival, right? When she thought, her husband may or may not be dead or alive, like she really, those emotions were really portrayed well through her character on film. Her instincts as a parent, as a mother, I think she portrayed all of those emotions really well, and she really was like the star of this movie for me. Like, you really wanted to root for her, you wanted her to win, and even in the end, when she skinned this dude alive, you were like, you were still like, fuck yeah, like, I'm glad you did that. I hope she beats that case. She's going to need a great lawyer, but I hope she beats that case.
Yeah, fair enough. So real quick, my runner-up is going to be, I'm going to say Nick Stahl. And the reason why I'm going to say Nick Stahl is because he took a fucking bear trap to the face. And that, even in rehearsals, so you got to be like, Am I getting a stunt double for this? Is that a stand-in
Yeah.
that we're
Is that
doing?
a real trap?
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about this first. I don't know. Like, should we
We got
have
to
an
do this
agent
in
in the
one
room
take.
or yeah? So yeah, I got to give that to him. But I think I think clearly my MVP has to be Summer Howell, who played Renee, who was basically the teenage girl. I got to give it to her because she and I don't know, man. Like every time I see a child actor, and they're believable in their character, I'm just amazed because just like, holy shit, you're so fucking talented, at such a young age.
Yeah.
And so I got to give it up to her because she killed that character, or not killed the character. Her character got killed, but she killed it as the character. And I think it was very believable in terms of just like all her reactions and the fact that they didn't portray her as like she wasn't like like this above average, smartness or anything. She was smart, but like not like genius level where they try to make it like unbelievable. Like, oh my God, she's doing everything an adult would do. She basically just mimicked what her dad. It really did simulate like, okay, like if your dad taught you something at like the age of like 12, 13, whatever, this is sort of how you would relay that along. Like if somebody asked you a question, you would say, okay, this is how I was taught, yada yada. So long story short, I think she killed it as the character of Renee. I thought that the end to her character was, I think it was too fast, too quick, and too there wasn't a conclusion to her arc, and I think that's a regrettable thing. I think, considering I think how well she played the character. But in any event, let's talk about the cinematography for the film. The cinematographer for the film was Greg Nikot, I believe, and this was edited by Matthew Weiss. I gotta say one thing before you jump in. The one weird thing that I saw like visually on the film was, or I guess it's a visual and audio thing, is you heard a lot of flies in this movie, like because of, like there's like a lot of dead carcasses and things like that. I don't think we saw one fucking fly throughout the entire thing. Like they didn't CGI that shit. They didn't like bring some flies in. I don't know why that bothered me so much. It's like a pet peeve, but it's like, if you're going to like have all these noises that are going to annoy the shit out of me, at least have the shit in there. Like, but at no point did they actually, I think, have like actual like flies. Like, and you could have done it multiple ways. But anyways, that's a small thing. Stupid, I know, but they're nonetheless.
Yeah, I did not catch that. Very perceptive. So from a cinematography perspective, what I really liked about this movie was like how intimate it was. Obviously, they're out in the elements. So going with like a standard camera on like a tripod or a still camera or mounted camera, like it wouldn't work. Because the cameraman has to follow the characters through these elements, using like a handheld camera, obviously with like a stabilizer and whatnot. But the scenes were really intimate. Like the scenes with like the dad and the daughter hunting and they're tracking the animals and and they're really both capturing like the sounds in the forest as well as like the actual elements itself. They're showing you how rugged and rough the terrain is. And obviously they're out hunting, so they can't like yell at each other. They can't speak really loud. They have to speak in really soft voices. So the camera needs to be like kind of like, it needs to feel like it's in the conversation. In a really intimate way. And I thought that was great. I thought they did some like really odd things with like camera angles. Like instead of, a lot of scenes were like, slightly tilted in a weird way. I felt like it wasn't necessary, but like they did it. And I thought the cinematography of this movie was well done. It looked good. The sound was great. It really captured the environment. I don't have anything bad to say about the cinematography for this movie. And we've been having some audio issues, so you guys may not have gotten the full breadth of this review for Hunter x Hunter. But Tunde, give us your last words on this movie. I'll give you mine, and then we're going to jump into some dope ass trailers.
Yeah. So I think, just some parting thoughts about the movie is that I think it was a good movie. The problem is, or I guess was, that it didn't, I don't think the buildup was justified by the ending to it. And that's really like my only, I thought all the pieces to it were great, but just if there was more, if there was more buildup, or if there was more payoff for the buildup, I think that would have been great. And also, too, I saw everything that happened with Nick Stahl's character, having him be the person who's you say he played, he played it great, but it was just like plot wise, it was just like, yeah, duh. Like they've only introduced 4 people in this entire film, and here's this new stranger. Of course, he's the person who's going to wind up killing everybody. Why would we not see that coming? But yeah, those are kind of my closing thoughts for the film.
So, I got to echo some of yours, right? I thought like well, you know what? I actually did think the buildup for this movie was great. It was a lot of anticipation. At a certain point, I kind of didn't know what was happening. Like, is it the wolf? Is it something else? Is it somebody? Is it like a fucking demon or something like that? Like at a certain point, you didn't know. I do wish the ending of this movie lasted a little bit longer. I wish it was a little bit more of a struggle between the mom. I wish Renee would have fucking did something. Like, you see some dude on top of your mom trying to choke her to death. Like, don't just stand there screaming, stop. Maybe like hit him in the head with something. Fucking help. Goddamn. But so I thought the ending happened a little bit too fast. I'd love to have seen more struggles. I'd love to have seen a little bit more of a fight between Renee and the mom and the John Stahl's character. I still thought this was a really good movie. I recommended it to a friend. She watched it last night. She echoed that sentiment too. So if you haven't seen Hunter x Hunter, you have the thumbs up from me. You got to press play on this movie. I thought it was definitely worth it. And it's only so the rental was only like $6.99. Can't beat that.
Yeah, it was better than the $19.99 for Greenland at any rate. But maybe we'll review that movie some other time when it's not.
Yeah, when the price drops.
Yeah. So yeah, that was our review for Hunter x Hunter. You check it out. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. We'll wait to hear.